Report on humans versus Xelians. Z. Li Ans. I am Admiral Rubis, and I was the Xelian admiral that oversaw the war with the humans, if you can even call it that. The human battle went much differently than I expected, especially for my first battle as an admiral. Let's first begin with what caused us to go to war with them. The humans rarely used their military because it was severely underwhelming. When the humans did use their military, they primarily used energy EMP weapons with missiles, and always had to have overwhelming force to have a chance. This surprised most species because when the other species expanded, they always had a large and powerful, mainly, to solve conflicts within the species itself. The humans were all one government, but there were still many pirates and other groups that stole from freighters for a living. This was mainly what they used their military for. The humans had more pirates than any other species had ever seen, and yet still such a useless military. We were confused about how this was even possible. We increased our surveillance on the humans, hoping to find some evidence as to why they had so many pirates. We had started a few trade routes with them, and the freighters we sent through had many pirates attack our ships, except the freighters never took any damage. The pirates always only used EMP weapons trying to disable the freighters. When the freighters were even disabled and boarded, the pirates were very nice about it, and asked to have the cargo and thank the crew. The human military didn't even seem to try to destroy the pirates, and neither did the pirates try to kill them. They were only trying to disable each other. We later sent some stealth recon craft into the heart of the ship manufacturing sector of the humans. The recon craft gave us detailed pictures of the ships, and even some pictures of what the inside could look like using X-rays. Every gun on all ships seemed to only be low-power laser point defense, shield-disabling guns, unknown missiles, or EMP. There was no massive railguns, high-powered artillery, or long-range laser lances. We realized the military had no real destructive ability beyond missiles. We still did not know why, but we assumed because missiles were the best they had for hull damage. This put them at a terrible disadvantage against any other species. The other species, at least, have massive gas-based guns, but the humans did not even have that, only laser weaponry. Lasers were only good at point defense, not good for main battle cannons. This is where we decided they were incredibly weak and their land could easily be taken. This is where the war started. The Xelian Top Council declared war on the humans and put me, Rubis, in charge of the battle. I did not expect to have a battle so soon upon promotion, but at least this would be an easy one. I put in for a request of 2 dreadnoughts, 15 carriers, 30 battleships, and 100 destroyers, for a total fleet of 147. The fleet was overkill compared to most ships we had seen inside the human military. The human military was over 2,000 ships strong, but our hulls were more advanced than theirs, and they barely used any weapons that could damage hulls. The fleet was approved and put into my control. I gave each ship's orders for the formation and where their warp point is. The ships went to the border of our space sector, and aligned themselves for the 2-hour warp into human territory. The ship's confirmation of jump would come back to us in 2 hours and 30 minutes, because the response beacon travels at quadruple the speed of our ships. The ships went into warp, and we waited, and waited, and waited. 3 hours passed. We had no clue why it would take so long for them to reply, but we thought maybe the beacon launcher was broken on the main ship, or maybe they had instantly gotten into battle and just couldn't reply yet. We waited for a total of 2 days before we decided the fleet was MIA. We had no clue how it happened, only as 2 ships ever had widely failed warping, and they only warped somewhere else. To see 147 ships suddenly disappear, and not hear anything back from them at all was unheard. There was no news in the human sector about it, and there was no message in any form from the ships, not even radio. I put in a new request for 5 dreadnoughts, 50 carriers, 150 battleships, 300 destroyers, 500 corvettes, and 1,000 gunships. The new fleet should completely destroy the humans and leave them zero chance to live. The fleet again went into formation and prepared for the warp jump. This time the ships were top of the line and outfitted with our best jump drives, so their warp would only last for 30 minutes. The ships all warped together in a massive fleet jump. We waited for their response, and we waited. No response came. There was not a single blip from their destination point, and nothing from the humans either. The ships just disappeared again. That was when we got a message from the Human Special Forces director. We had no idea what the Human Special Forces was, or who the person sending this message was, but the message read, "Xelians. We have noticed many unauthorized military vessels trying to enter our territory. We have commandeered them, and they are currently being held in our military shipyards. The prisoners are in war prison stations. We demand an explanation for these ships entering our territory unprovoked. If you do not provide one within a week, we will be forced to take action. Kindly, Special Forces Director Brammer." We were furious at the humans and demanded the ships and crews back. We officially declared war on them, calling them weak, horrible beings for taking our ships and crews. It was a terrible mistake to declare war on them. The main Xelian battle fleet was assembled and was ready to warp into human territory, before a small fleet of sleek black ships appeared in the system the ships were in. The ships held ours and told them to power down immediately. Our ships demanded to know who they were, and the ships identified themselves as Human Special Forces Strike Group Number 90. The ships told them to leave Xelian territory or be fired upon. That is when the Special Forces responded. They fired a single missile that wasn't even aimed for the ships. The missile veered off from the Xelian vessels towards the planet, making all the vessels think they missed. The vessels laughed at the Special Forces. Is this really what defeated 2 other fleets? They probably just got lucky. Then the missile impacted the surface of the planet. The planet slowly shimmered, and then it warped. The planet full-on warped out. Every station that was orbiting it warped with it, however the military vessels were left in space, suddenly veering off in random directions. The human vessel sent one single message that read as, "For every day of the war, 1 planet shall be removed. Whenever you declare a full surrender, you will receive all planets back in their original place." The Xelian Council was extremely angry at a missing planet, but they were even more surprised at how the humans could have accomplished such a feat. They demanded an explanation for the humans, but they never offered one. Planets kept disappearing, along with fleets. Eventually the Council was worn so thin with other battles that they decided to fully surrender to the humans. The very first Xelian full surrender. There has been Xelian surrenders where it mainly benefited the Xelians, but this was the first one where we agreed to any offer from the humans. The humans accepted the surrender and returned all fleets, crews, and planets. The crews were all interviewed about what happened, and they all had close to the same answer. Their warp stopped working about 5 minutes in, and then sleek black ships appeared. Their ships were all disabled by some mysterious force in under a minute. They tried sending communications, but nothing seemed to actually send. It was all jammed. The humans had technology that was far more advanced than anything we had ever seen. That someone stopped the ships from warping, which was unheard of. Some freighters had been stopped mid-warp when their path was known, and the time was precisely calculated beforehand. However, military vessels are designed to avoid this with more powerful warp drives, and changing their warp speed mid-warp by plus or minus 0.1%. The humans just did it on military vessels that they didn't even know about beforehand. On top of all that, they also somehow warped a fucking planet. No species had ever before warped an amount of mass close to a planet, let alone with one missile. In short, do not mess with the humans. Their military seems innocent, but there is still the military special forces. They are there lurking, waiting for any military vessel to enter their territory.